This is Dr. Chris's radio horror program here on WCW. If you're not catching this recorded interview while it broadcasts live after 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully you're catching it on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Tonight on the show with us, we have Kevin and Vickie Hicks, who in their movie, talking about their movie Dead Air, which I related a lot to working in radio. Even though this is ham radio and I've been broadcasting radio, it's all radio, it's all good. At least they're not doing it like through a podcast through the internet. He's not talking to a woman through cyberspace, thankfully. So thank you guys for coming on the show with us.
Well, thank you for having us.
Are you big ham radio users? Are you big, were you knowledgeable of that entire type of like this long forgotten genre of radio?
No, not at all.
What made you want to do it as ham radio and not some other form of communication? Why ham radio specifically if you're not knowledgeable of it?
Well, basically, Kevin came to me with the idea, and he said, what if we did something about a haunted radio? And so when I started writing it, at first I was thinking, AM, FM, and then I thought, somebody who's in an isolated space would probably want something more like a ham radio. So I went out and researched it, and I just found the whole culture of it to be really fascinating.
I was at the Halloween store, and they had like an old little like plastic, like electronic ham radio that plays like all sorts of ghosty stuff that you can like stick in like a Halloween party. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Those are pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, they remind me of the Spirit Box apps that you can get on your phone.
Oh my God! Right?
Aren't those fun?
Yeah. And did you before the pandemic? I think it was in 2019. There was a movie about a spirit ghost app that reminded me of this story of like a supernatural ham radio or old transistor radio or some type of like whatever the truckers use, something like that. And I was just like, this is a tale as old as the time. I know of the haunted radio thing, but now they're doing the haunted app thing.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that movie.
Yeah, it kind of came and went in the box office. You don't need to worry about it. People say why. People say horror movies suck, and this was one of the movies why people say that. But your movie's not a horror movie. It's definitely got the supernatural element to it because of the unusual weirdness of it all. There was that movie Frequency a few years ago with Jim Caviezel.
Yeah.
That's what made me jump on this film when I got the press release.
Yeah, we're big fans of that film. We like the movie itself, and we're both big Caviezel and Dennis Quaid fans.
I don't want to give away the dark secret of the movie, so in case people are interested in the film itself, that way they can be like surprised. But the was it easy to shoot that type of coverage where it's just like camera, person? I mean, the two actors are not in the same room together, right?
Actually, we were.
Yeah, the set was actually split, so it was two sets that we had a portable wall that we could take down and put back up. So that the one scene about in the middle of the film where we go back and forth and there's that divider was actually shot practically. So yeah, we didn't ever shoot it at the same time, but we were shooting technically in the same room.
I just did a short film where I am in the studio, actually in the broadcast. It's nothing supernatural about it. It's all silly. But I'm in the broadcasting studio where I do Radio of Horror, where we're playing this interview. And I'm just like picking up the phone and there's delivering lines and the camera's set up in different ways and I do multiple takes. But however, there are people who are actually filming themselves. And this was filmed during the pandemic, filming themselves talking to me. And then we're going to splice all the footage together.
That was basically how we did it. We had two cameras, and I felt, from a direction standpoint, I felt it was more important to have our performances, each of our individual performances, captured simultaneously by two cameras as opposed to one camera on each of us and going back and forth. So how we dealt with that ahead of time was we did a lot of rehearsing. So we basically knew what we were gonna be hearing from the other person and all of that. So basically our performances were based on the rehearsals that we had done previously, and then when we got to shooting, it was really no surprises, just basically capturing the performances.
Do either one of you have you? Oh, sorry, let me start over. Have either one of you know somebody, or you yourself? You can. It's all about confessions here on Radio Horror. Ever suffered from agoraphobia?
No, not at all. And it was really interesting researching that and trying to tap into that when I was playing Ava, because it is actually foreign to me. But I can imagine it would be really a horrible, paralyzing feeling.
I'm sure people have been experiencing it or embracing it in some way this past year. I mean, having to be
Right.
shut in, it's inevitable. You because of what's been going on, and we're still stuck in it.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually because of the pandemic. We were actually going to be working on a larger film, and we decided to do something smaller, to write something smaller instead because of the pandemic. So this, basically for all argument's sake, this movie wouldn't have existed if the pandemic hadn't happened.
Yeah, because we were concerned about, because of the situation going on, having to have a smaller cast, a smaller crew, and just having to deal with the realities of those.
Yeah, so when you're shooting a movie and you really can't have any more than 10 people in a space at a given time, it limits what you're going to be able to do in terms of production.
Kevin, do you ever seem to escape the supernatural? Because I saw you had also done a film called Paranormal Proof. Or are you just like destined and you're just like, you know what? This puts the food on the table and the kids in college and the renting mortgage paid. Sure enough, I'll do every paranormal goofy movie you want me to do till the day I die.
Yeah, well, that one was a bit of an experiment in marketing during the whole Paranormal Activity craze. We were trying to jump on that, and because of it, a good lesson there for a creative artist. It's probably the least favorite of my movies, because we were kind of making it for a different reason than the art.
Do you believe in the paranormals yourself? Either one of you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably just as much fascinated by the possibility of it. But yeah, we do both believe that there are things out there that we don't understand. Certainly.
Have you ever had a paranormal experience that you could share?
Not that I can really. The only thing
your Burbank experience in your bed.
No, I went.
Wait, what? Wait, what paranormal experience in bed?
No, that came out totally.
Okay, all right. I was thinking like Ghostbusters. Remember that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
All right. I'm just gonna keep it clean. So just
in New York City, I had been reading a book about a townhouse that was that Mark Twain had once lived in, and there was all of these ghost stories, that all these things that happened in this place, really, and people who moved in just came out wrong. And I was telling a girlfriend about it, and she said she actually knew a guy who was living there at that time, and that he had cut himself off from all of his friends and completely changed. So that's probably the closest I've been.
I think for the most part, though, it's just, ghosts or things like that, and you're curious about it. But I think both of us would say that we really are in no hurry to actually meet one face to face.
Exactly.
That makes complete sense. I don't actually believe in the paranormal, even though I did a podcast called Supernatural Creatures and Lore, but that was tied to like the television series Supernatural, and we talked about like where the creature that like Sam and Dean Winchester would fight in like yada yada episode, and what their relation is to the real life lore and history and religion of the thing that they're fighting. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Yeah.
But every episode, I would always say, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in the Bloody Mary. Look, there's a mirror right here. Bloody Mary, nothing. No Candyman, no Beetlejuice. Me and my co-host, in the third episode, we did Bloody Mary. We all stood in the mirror in the dark, with the lights off, with the door closed. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody. You know, when you're just like, do we get candy? Do I get a date at least? I mean, do I get anything? Nothing. This is dumb. You know, so I'm like, I'm sorry, we live in the age of science and facts. So, man, oh man, I wonder why my iTunes ratings on that podcast are like 3.5.
But it's fun. It's I mean, part of storytelling is exploring the unknown, whether it's circumstances that you have never encountered in your life, or if it's things that you're interested in. That's the one thing that I find really gratifying and satisfying about it. I know when Vickie, when she researches for our stories, she really gets into that part of it, and I like to explore just trying to get into the thought process of people that are different from me or different experiences and all of that. So to me, the supernatural, ghosts or monsters and that kind of thing it's interesting to me, but it's also interesting to me, pilots and people who are cops or just that do other things in life that I'm not used to as well. And that's one of the things about being a storyteller that is very satisfying and rewarding is being able to sort of be in a world that you're not used to for a very short period of time.
How has the movie done since it's come out?
We really don't know yet. It just came out a couple days ago.
Yeah, and the way that the things get reported, I mean, basically we won't know really how it's doing. There's no way to real time track it, so we basically just have to wait for our quarterly reports. So, in all likelihood, it'll be several months from now before we know how it's doing.
Do you see like a string of sequels? Dead Air 3, the box comes back. I don't know. And they just get weirder and weirder. Next thing you know, it's all forms of, and then it's not just a ham radio. You go into all forms of radio over the next sequels. Make it very different. That's what I'm saying. AM, FM, XM, SXM. I think that's another one. Infinity, satellite, internet, podcasting.
I think in terms of, I'm not sure that the story would, really leaves itself open for a sequel.
I don't know. I think those all wrote themselves. I just gave you the, and it's on my radio show and it's recorded. So I'll expect my check in the mail.
Now, right?
Yeah, I'll expect my check in the mail for giving you that idea.
That was mine.
Yeah, look, here's the evidence right here. It's on recording. How about that? Thank you, Judge. How's the kids? Good? All right.
No, we're not. I mean, we're certainly not opposed to sequels, in general, but for us, especially if we were going to invest the time and resources into a Roman numeral, it would certainly need to have the story there. I don't think it's something that we would just do for a paycheck. We just that's not why we do this. So
what's funny is I actually put together like a trilogy of radio shorts that I've done here at the station. There's the late night there's late night radio show, which is about a girl who's getting stalked by someone who's broken into the radio station. There's Radio Hero, which is a group of people at the radio station interviewing a newly on-the-arrived millennial superhero. And then Overnight Radio Show, which is about a DJ who's forced to come in and work the overnight shift at a radio station, very similar to like Dante at Clerks.
Yeah,
You should go for it.
But I was waiting for you to say something. I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
I was, but then I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about, all of a sudden I was thinking about a movie. There was a movie that I just saw recently about a police officer that's, I think it was called Last Shift or something, where they were in overnight in a precinct that was about to be closed down, and it was the last shift, and it turns out that it was haunted and all of that. So I kind of like, my mind was drifting on that while you were talking. So
There's also like Pontypool, and Play Misty for Me, which was a Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the editing on that Clint Eastwood movie, I recently rewatched it. I like it, but man, that movie did not need to be an hour and 45 minutes. That is a pacing. What was that?
I said it's been so long that since I've seen it.
It's badly paced. It needs a serious like edit of a lot of scenes.
yeah, we call them little darlings that you want to hold on to certain things. I mean, that's one of the things that we go through is a lot of times we'll have a few scenes that we decided that we can do without, because especially in the horror genre, and like you said, Dead Air isn't straightforward horror, but
no, it's more of a supernatural slow burn thrhriller.
Yeah, supernatural thriller. It kind of touches on pretty heavily on a few different genres, but I think people in general, I think just moviegoers in general, movie watchers today in general, they want shorter things. I think platforms like YouTube and some of the other Vine, and just everything's gotten so short. I know in my professional life, as a video producer, as a commercial video producer, back when I started, a 5 to 7 minute video was a short video, and now 5 to 7 minutes is death if something's that long for a business. So, and I think that's translated to films as well. I mean, the 120, 130, 140 minute video or movie is just, you don't see them as much anymore, because I don't think people have the patience for them like they used to.
Right, definitely.
Which is unfortunate, from a storytelling standpoint, because you think about certain movies that wouldn't be what they are if they weren't as long. Not that every movie has to be 2 hours long, but you would lose things like the father-son scene in Jaws, where the kid's sitting there mimicking his dad and stuff like that. You don't see scenes like that in movies anymore. And it's unfortunate that it's trended like that, But it's the reality of the world we live in.
Where can people go to find more information about the film?
Best place would be to go to deadairmovie.net, and there they can take a look at some of our press and media stuff, and then also see where they can go to look to rent or buy it.
Awesome. Thank you both for coming on the show to talk about Dead Air.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. We appreciate it.
Thank you.